హలో స్టూడెంట్స్, ప్రతి ఎన్సీఆర్టీ బుక్ లో ఇండియన్ పాలిటీ 6th to 12th ప్రతి చాప్టర్ లో ప్రతి బుక్ లో ఫస్ట్ పేజ్ లో మనకి ప్రియాంబుల్ గురించి ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేయడం జరుగుతుంది. ఇన్ఫాక్ట్ ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ is also began with its preamble. Preamble will explain about Indian constitution in short, which means what are the nature of Indian constitution, objectives of Indian constitution, source of authority for Indian constitution, and which date Indian constitution was adopted. These core points were mentioned in the Indian constitution, but all the core points were added to a gist known as preamble. So preamble of the Indian constitution is very important to learn for various examinations as well as being a citizen of India. But when I say preamble, remember it is to explain the gist of Indian constitution. It is to explain the gist of Indian constitution. But the concept of preamble is inspired from USA. Sir, why it is inspired from USA? See, American constitution is the smallest constitution. Being a smallest constitution, they created preamble in order to explain about their own constitution. The Indian constitution is one of the lengthiest written constitution in the world. The lengthiest written constitution in the world must require preamble in order to understand what you mean by constitution, objectives, nature of Indian constitution, source of authority. If you ask me, people says that preamble is nothing but identity card of Indian constitution, which means one identity card of a person explains everything about him. In the same way, the preamble of the Indian constitution explains everything about Indian constitution. Hence, the preamble of Indian constitution is known as identity card of Indian constitution. But who coined this word? ఎవరు చెప్పారు preamble is the identity card of Indian constitution అని? This statement was given by Mr. Any Palkiwala. This statement is given by Any Palkiwala. He is an eminent jurist. He spoke that Indian preamble is the identity card of Indian constitution. Very, very important. But my point is very clear here. When I say preamble, what are the key components of the preamble? When you ask me the key components of the preamble is having four key components. Four key components are ingredients. One is called, the preamble talks about source of authority to Indian constitution. And Indian constitution ki source of authority ekkadi nundi vastundi. So, the key features of preamble or ingredients of the preamble. First one, the source of authority to Indian constitution. The second concept or the second point here is nature of Indian constitution. The nature of Indian constitution. Third one, objectives of Indian constitution. And the fourth one, the adoption date that was mentioned in the Indian constitution or preamble. Look at carefully here, boys. When I say the source of authority to the Indian constitution, and directly the answer is, look at this is preamble definition, boys. In the preamble definition, the first one you see, we the people of India. We mean to say the Indian constitution getting its source of authority from the people of India. For example, I'll tell you this. In India, constitution is ultimate. But from where constitution getting its powers? The constitution of India getting its authority from we the people of India. And we the people of India giving authority to Indian constitution. Hence, Indian constitution deriving its authority from we the people of India. అంటే భారతదేశ ప్రజలమైన మనం ఓకే భారత రాజ్యాంగానికి అధికారాన్ని ఇస్తున్నాము అంటే ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ గెటింగ్ ఇట్స్ అథారిటీ ఫ్రమ్ వి ద పీపుల్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియా. ద సెకండ్ వన్, ద నేచర్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ద ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ ఆర్ ద నేచర్ ఆఫ్, ఐ వుడ్ సే నాట్ ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్, ఐ వుడ్ సే ద నేచర్ ఆఫ్ ఇండియన్ స్టేట్. I'll tell you the nature of Indian state. Indian state is a sovereign, Indian state is a socialist, Indian state secular, democratic, and republic. These are the 5 keywords explains about the nature of Indian state. Indian state is sovereign. Indian state is socialist, secular, democratic, republic. Means భారతదేశం అనేది sovereign state, అలాగే republic state, socialistic state, democratic state. Are you getting it right? Yes. This first 5 keywords explains the nature of Indian state. So భారతదేశం అనేది sovereign state. So the nature of Indian state is nothing but Indian state is sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, and republic. Clear, right? Next one, objectives of Indian Constitution. What is the objective of Indian Constitution? Indian Constitution is meant for providing every citizen with justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. I mean to say, the Constitution of India treats every citizen equally by providing justice, liberty, equality, and fraternity. These 4 keywords explains the objectives of Indian Constitution. Then the preamble consisting the date of adoption. We all know this. The Indian Constitution was adopted on 26th November 1949. I'll tell you, listen carefully. 2 dates we need to know. One is adoption date of Indian Constitution. Next one, commencement date of Indian Constitution. Adoption date is like 26th November 1949 is the date where Indian Constitution was adopted. This date was mentioned in preamble. అంటే preamble లో మనం ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ ని ఎప్పుడు అడాప్ట్ చేసుకున్నామో ఆ అడాప్షన్ డేట్ మాత్రమే మెన్షన్ చేశారు, బట్ నాట్ కమెన్స్మెంట్ డేట్. ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ కమెన్స్డ్, which means implemented from. Indian Constitution implemented from 26th January 1950. 26th January 1950 రోజున ఇండియన్ కాన్స్టిట్యూషన్ మనం ఇంప్లిమెంట్ చేసాం. అడాప్ట్ చేసుకుంది 26th November 1949. Why there is a 2 months gap? ఈ 2 months gap దేనికి ఉందంటే బికాస్ ఆఫ్ పూర్ణ స్వరాజ్ రిజల్యూషన్. అది మీకు మెయిన్ కోర్సులో వస్తుంది. బికాస్ ఆఫ్ పూర్ణ స్వరాజ్ రిజల్యూషన్ we have waited 2 months after adopting Indian Constitution. We have waited 2 months for implementing Indian Constitution. But preamble lo we have mentioned only adopted date but not implemented date. This 4 is known as ingredients of the preamble. What are the ingredients, Amma? One is source of authority of Indian Constitution is we the people of India. Next, the nature of Indian state explains 5 keywords: sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. Objectives of Indian Constitution is to protect all the citizens with justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. And preamble is having which date? Is the date of adoption of Indian Constitution or date of implementing Indian Constitution? In preamble, it has date of adoption, that is 26th November 1949 is the date of adopting Indian Constitution that was mentioned in preamble. These are called 4 ingredients of the preamble. But my next point here is, when I say preamble, yes, the first time the preamble concept was adopted or introduced in Constituent Assembly. Remember, Rajyanga Nirmana Sabha antam దీన్నే మనం Constituent Assembly అంటాం. This Constituent Assembly is meant for, the Constituent Assembly meant for making Indian Constitution. The Constituent Assembly meant for making Indian Constitution. Hence, the makers of Indian Constitution law or in the Constituent Assembly law, there is a person called Jawaharlal Nehru or Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. He introduced something called as objective resolution. Objective resolution. What do you mean by objective resolution? And what and all the things that need to performed by Constituent Assembly is nothing but objective resolution. And a Constituent Assembly ఎలాంటి పనులు చేయాలో ఒక లిస్ట్ రెడీ చేసుకున్నారు. ఆ రెడీ చేసిన వ్యక్తి జవహర్లాల్ నెహ్రూ. వాటిని మనం ఇంగ్లీష్ లో ఆబ్జెక్టివ్ రిజల్యూషన్ తెలుగు ఆశయాల తీర్మానం అంటాం. Who introduced object to resolution in Constituent Assembly? It is Jawaharlal Nehru introduced object to resolution in Constituent Assembly. In this object to resolution, they mentioned about preamble. They mentioned about preamble. Clear everyone? Yes. But now let us see what is the explanation of keywords that are present in preamble. Very, very important to understand as they were NCERT classes. I'm just to the point. Is it clear? Look at this. This is what definition of preamble. I'll tell you what is preamble definition is. We the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign. This order is important, okay? Sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. Hence, if the Indian constitution wanted to protect or provide all the citizens with justice, liberty, equality, fraternity, hereby ourselves adopted, enacted Indian Constitution on 26th November 1949. This is what about preamble definition. No need to remember the preamble definition, but remember the keywords. Remember there are 9 keywords totally. One is like sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. Again, justice, liberty, equality, fraternity. It meaning తెలుసుకుంటే yes, it is done with the preamble. As far as NCERT concerned, look at the first one, boys. I told we the people of India. It explains what the source of authority. It explains about the source of authority to Indian Constitution. భారత రాజ్యాంగానికి అధికారం ఎక్కడి నుండి వస్తుందంటే we the people of India. Constitution deriving its power from people of India. Next one, I told second point here is, that is, what is the nature of Indian state? The nature of Indian state can be explained by sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic. But I'll tell you, this is preamble definition. We have 2 definitions for preamble. One is called old definition of preamble. Next one, the new definition of preamble. When you see old definition, remember from 1949 నుండి 1949 నుండి 1976 వరకు ఉన్న preamble ని old preamble అంటారు. In the year of 1976, preamble was amended. What do you mean by amended? Means change ante we will add something to preamble, we will delete something from preamble, which is nothing but technically amendment. Who can amend preamble? Who can amend Indian Constitution? The preamble is a part of Indian Constitution. So who can amend Indian Constitution or who can change Indian Constitution? The answer here is the Indian Constitution can be amended only by Parliament. The Indian Constitution can be amended only by Parliament. Is it clear, everyone? భారత రాజ్యాంగాన్ని ఎవరు సవరించగలరు అంటే మీ ఆన్సర్ ఓన్లీ పార్లమెంట్ కెన్ డూ ఇట్. బట్ ఇన్ ద ఇయర్ ఆఫ్ 1976 preamble was amended. I mean to say, remember, up to 1976 in the preamble we have only few keywords, that is like sovereign we have, then followed by democratic we have, and republic we have. And till 1976 preamble means we have a sovereign, democratic and republic keywords. There is no keywords called as socialist, secular and integrity. Look at this. In the definition we can find there is something called integrity. Look at this word integrity, boys. Look at the word here called integrity. అంటే ఒరిజినల్ ప్రియాంబుల్ లో మనకి సోషలిస్ట్ అనే వర్డ్ లేదు, సెక్యులర్ అనే వర్డ్ లేదు, ఇంటిగ్రిటీ అనే వర్డ్ లేదండి. ఈ 3 వర్డ్ తీసేస్తే అది ఓల్డ్ ప్రియాంబుల్. ఈ 3 వర్డ్స్ ఎప్పుడు యాడ్ అయినాయి? 1976 లో. రిమెంబర్ ద 3 వర్డ్స్ యాడెడ్ టు ప్రియాంబుల్ in the year of 1976 by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. Very, very important. 3 words was added to preamble in the year of 1976 by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act. Very important. By this 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, we added 3 words to preamble. The three words is nothing but socialist, secular and integrity. Socialist, secular and integrity are the three words added to preamble by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976. So far, how many times preamble was amended? Only once. By which amendment? 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976 is the only once we have amended preamble so far. Hence, and one more point here is, when I say 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act, it was done during in the year of 1976. It is the time of internal emergency in India. In this time, Srimati Indira Gandhi was the Prime Minister of India, where Indian Constitution was amended many times. How many times preamble amended? Only once. So far, Indian Constitution was amended many times. Okay? But the maximum part of Indian Constitution, was amended by Parliament through 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976. And Indian Constitution maximum times ఏ amendment ద్వారా భారత రాజ్యాంగాన్ని చేంజ్ చేసాము అంటే it is 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976. So the point is very clear. భారత రాజ్యాంగాన్ని ఎక్కువ సార్లు మనం ఏ అమెండ్మెంట్ ద్వారా చేంజ్ చేసాము అంటే 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act of 1976 due to internal emergency. That is the reason why the 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act is known as Mini Constitution of India. Mini Constitution of India. So by this 42nd Amendment, we added three words to preamble, that is socialist, secular, integrity words. So after adding this is the definition called preamble. Is it clear, everyone? Yes. So now let us say, by which amendment preamble was added to Indian, or preamble was amended by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. Preamble was amended by adding three words, socialist, secular and integrity. How many times preamble added so far? Only once. Which amendment? 42nd Amendment. Which amendment is known as Mini Constitution of India? It is 42nd Amendment. Why? Because through this amendment, we amended Constitution many times. That is why 42nd Amendment is known as Mini Constitution of India. Clear, everyone? Right. Then what is the meaning of the keywords? I am just giving the NCERT meaning. In full course, it is very big, lengthy concept. Whenever I say the first word, sovereign. Sovereign is nothing but independent. Remember, boys, sovereign is nothing but independent. You are sovereign means you are independent. You can make your own decision. Remember, after 1947, India became independent country. Before 1947, India was in the control of British. India was in the control of British. But after independence, means after 1947 to till date, that is 2025 till date, even in the future also, India is a sovereign country. Sovereign means independent. When I say sovereign or independent, India can make its own decision. India can make its own decision regarding its internal affairs and as well as external affairs. And being an independent country, India can make its own decision regarding internal matters and external matters. Not only that, being an independent country, India can give its territory to other country. India can acquire other countries' territories to India. అంటే మన భూభాగాలు వేరే దేశానికి ఇవ్వచ్చు, వేరే దేశ భూభాగాలు మనం తీసుకోవచ్చు. Because India is what country? Independent country. So sovereign means independent. Being independent, it can make its own decision. Since 1947, India is independent country. Being independent country, it can give its territory to other country. It can acquire a territory from other countries. This is what called as a meaning sovereign. The next word we will talk about, socialist. Remember, in the Indian Constitution originally, the socialist word not mentioned explicitly. Later it was added to preamble by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. I told right, this word was added to preamble by this 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. What is socialist? All the activities should be done by the state. All the activities should be done by the state. Means government is most powerful. But India is not purely socialist. Indian socialism is like democratic socialism. India is having democratic socialism. What do you mean by democratic socialism? Here we will take the opinion of the state, that is the people. We also consider opinion of the private people. Both public and private playing more or less equal role. Such a type of socialism is nothing but democratic socialism. India is a democratic socialism. We also call it as Gandhian socialism, where we will give importance to both public and private. Both public and private. So India is what type of socialism? Democratic socialism or Gandhian socialism. Gandhian socialism. Clear everyone? Right. But my point is like, when I say democratic socialism, where we will see mixed economy. What do you mean by mixed economy? We have a role of the private, we have a role of private, and we have a role of public. Public is nothing but government or state, which is called mixed. So India is a socialist. But what type of socialism? Democratic socialism or mixed socialism or Gandhian socialism, where public and private has more or less equal role. We can see mixed economic model. That is what called socialistic state. The next one we will talk about secular. When I say the word called secular, remember, India is a land of diversity. India is a land of diversity, which means we having a various number of religions in India. We have various number of religions in India. Irrespective of their population strength, the state, the Indian state will give equal importance to all the religions. The Constitution of India or Indian state gives you equal importance to all the religion irrespective of their population strength. For example, in India, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, Sikh, Islam, like that we have religions. Hindu is dominant in India. Even then, we will give equal importance to all the religions in India. Giving equal importance to all the religions in India and not treating any religion specially, which is nothing but secular, means the government of India will not treat any religion as a special. It will treat all the religions equally and giving equal importance to all the religions, which is nothing but secular. But the word secular was also added to preamble by 42nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1976. This is what literally meaning of secular. We are secular, right? Which means we are giving equal importance to all the religions. For example, I'll tell you, in the fundamental rights, Article 25 to Article 28 talks about right to freedom of religion. We'll talk about them. Right to freedom of religion. In fundamental rights, Article 25 to Article 28 talks about right to freedom of religion. Means government is giving equal importance to all the religions, no discrimination, is nothing but secular. What do you mean by democratic? The meaning of democratic is very simple, and when I say meaning of democratic, where the people is more powerful. Democratic, or I would say doctrine of popular sovereignty. ఈ టెక్నికల్ వర్డ్స్ మన క్లాసెస్ లో చూస్తాం. When I say democratic, it is ruled by the people. India is a democratic country where the people is having ultimate power, which we call doctrine of popular sovereignty. What do you mean by doctrine of popular sovereignty? People of India is ultimate powerful. All the decisions are made by people. But when I say democracy, we have two types of democracy. One is called direct democracy. Next one, indirect democracy. Direct democracy would be seen in a country called Switzerland. India, we don't have direct democracy. But Indian democracy is called indirect democracy. When I say indirect democracy, even best I can say it is something called as representative form of democracy. When I say indirect democracy, we call it as representative form of democracy. That too in India we have something called parliamentary form of democracy. Parliament lo evaru untaru? Mana praja pratinidhulu. We call them as representative, right? So parliamentary form of democracy and representative form of democracy and meaning is same, because we are choosing our representatives to the parliament. That is where we are enjoying democracy. India is what type of democracy? Indirect democracy. Means we are not directly ruling. On behalf of the people, people representative will rule the India. We call indirect democracy. Inka technical ga representative form of democracy. Inka technical ga parliamentary form of democracy అని కూడా దీన్ని మనం పిలుచుకుంటాం. దీని గురించి ఇన్ డీటెయిల్ మీకు మళ్ళీ రెగ్యులర్ క్లాసెస్ లో ఉంటాయమ్మా. But when I come to here, last one, republic. What is republic? So India is what type of democracy? Indirect parliamentary form of democracy. What do you mean by republic? The republic meaning is very simple. When I say republic, very simple, head of the state must be elected. Who is head of the state? In India, head of the Indian state is a president. President of India, elected or appointed, he is elected by indirect elections. Any country where head of the state is elected, the country is known as republic. You see, America, it is called Republic of America, Republic of Congo, Republic of Canada. What do you mean by republic? Where head of the state must be elected one. ఆ దేశ అధ్యక్షుడు ఎన్నికల ద్వారా ఎలక్షన్ కాబడితే అలాంటి దేశాన్ని మనం రిపబ్లిక్ కంట్రీ అంటాం. ఇండియా హెడ్ వచ్చేసి ప్రెసిడెంట్. ప్రెసిడెంట్ ఈజ్ ఎలక్టెడ్ బై ద పీపుల్, but not directly by the people, through people representatives. So in India, president is elected, hence India is known as republic country. This is a literal meaning of the keywords that are given in the word preamble. Is it clear, everyone? Yes. So these 5 keywords explains nature of Indian state. Nature of Indian state. Look at now objectives of Indian constitution. Indian constitution objective to provide all the citizens with justice. Justice means nyayam. Justice ఎన్ని రకాలు ఇవ్వాలి? Social justice, economic justice, political justice. To provide Indian constitution to all the citizens with liberty. Liberty means liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, worship. Equality, equality of status and opportunity. Fraternity, which talks about individual dignity and unity and integrity of the nation. ఈ రోజు ఇంతవరకు నేర్చుకోండి. వీటి గురించి నెక్స్ట్ వీడియోలో మాట్లాడుకుంటాం. Hence the preamble chapter is very clear. Is it clear, everyone? Thank you all.